Oh, well, hello for the latter half of August before the kids all go back to school and I guess summer comes to an end. We came back from many weeks of camping, and while away I did manage to hit a few thrift stores. By the campground I picked up 5 albums from I guess it was a Salvation Army. Then we hit up an old friend that moved into the area we went to, and he gave me all the records in his closet. It was 20 albums. 6 of them are for really old Beatles albums. And on our way home I hit up a few more thrift shops and other set stores and picked up another 16 albums. So for this video I've got a whopping 38 albums total to show, and I also did a little bit of an equipment pickup. It's not actually an audio equipment, but it should help with the kind of electricity we have in this area. I'm going to do the unboxing first. It is, I see Amazon in their cheapness didn't even bother to rebox it. They just put the original box with a sticker on it and mailed it out. It's a power conditioning power supply. It does the normal spike protection and surge protection. It also has the EMI and RF noise filters in there to get rid of electrical noise on your line. Really not too much to show, just an on-off switch, single outlet on the front and 8 outlets on the back. So it should stabilize the power coming into my equipment room and maybe get rid of some of the hums I'm picking up. And on to the records. Hopefully get through them pretty quickly. I just try to do a sort of an audio flip through them. Again, I've sorted them by date, so the earliest album I picked up is Anton Nowinowski's Bach Organ Recital. This is a Telarc pressing mono from 1956, printed in the UK. And then the Jackie Gleason presents Ooh, it's a 1957 jazz album. After that we get into the Beatles albums. The first up is Beatles 65. It's a 1964 pop album. It is a mono pressing. Then there's the Beatles Twist and Shout. It's a 1964 pop album as well, also mono. And Beatles Long Tall Sally, another 1964 pop album and mono. Followed by the Beatles Hard Day Night. And it's a soundtrack from 1964 and mono from what I can understand. And that's followed by the Beatles 6, which is another pop album from 1965 now. And then came Beatles Help. This one is from 1965. It is a soundtrack album from the movie. Cool. I went from having one Beatles one Beatles album in my collection to having over half a dozen. And now we move back into stuff that's more normal for me. This is Bach Organ Works by Marie-Claire Alain. That is from 1965. And, okay, I don't actually know what this is. This is one of the albums I got from the cupboard. It's Pete Fountain, Mr. Stickman. It claims to be jazz and is from 1965. The next one is Brothers-in-Law Exposé 67. It's a 1967 comedy album. I hope that light isn't causing too much glare. It's in a strange place I don't normally put it in. And I lost my position in my list. Okay, the next one is Hair, American rock musical from 1968. This is a second copy for me. I'm hoping it's in better condition than the one that I had. And it's followed by another Jackie Gleason album. This is the Jackie Gleason Close-Up. It's a 1969 jazz album. It is a gatefold. If the records don't fall out. And it is a double album. Yeah, double album. That's another fatty. From there we picked up the various themes to many shows, like the themes to 2001, Rosemary's Baby, Interlude, second one for 2001, Elvira, Story of Three Lovers, something called 1, 2, 3. I don't know, it was in the shrink, so I couldn't resist picking it up. I do have sort of a problem with that. Okay, the next one is Enoch Light and the Light Brigade, a new concept of Cole Porter songs. This is a 1971 jazz album, and I can't get the gatefold open. There it is. It is a gatefold. Oops. Next one is a box set of all kinds of, I have no idea, songs. This came from a friend of mine. It has 4 records in it and songs from all over the place. All different genres in there. Okay, then we go to an album by Sean Phillips called Faces. This is a 1972 folk album, or folk rock album. And here's one I don't think I'd ever bought on my own, but it was in the 20 albums I got from my friend. It's by various people. It's Dueling Banjos. It's a 1973 bluegrass album. And I remember this band from way back. Shana Na's 20 Great Hits. This one's a 1973 rock album. And, okay, Boots Randolph's Yakety Sax. Trying to find where it is. Okay, there's the 1976 jazz album. It was in the shrink, so I guess why it came home with me. This one was surprised me when I went to the store and people just left it sitting there. It's a Carole King Simple Things album. It is a gatefold. It was just sitting there on the shelf at a Value Village, and people just walked by, swung through it. The album has no scratches on it at all. It looks in very good condition. And here's another comedy album. Bob Booker, George Foster, Burt Villainish. It's called Out of the Closet. It's a 1977 comedy album. And Barry Manilow Live. It's a 1977 ballad disco album according to Discogs. I can't say I had any other Barry Manilow albums in my collection before. And then we got one I picked up just because I liked the cover. It's called Firefall. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there. Firefall by, the album's called Luna Sea. It is a soft rock album from 1977. And then CHFI 98.1 presents 20 years of Candlelight and Wine. It's another gatefold double album. And another album I couldn't see why people left it sitting on the shelf. It's Rawls Live. It is another double album. And they just left it sitting along with the Carole King album. And again, 2 discs in there. They look like they've been totally undamaged. As well as this one, the Count Basie and the Mills Brothers. This is a 1979 jazz album. And then these albums I picked up only because I thought Richard Rowley would kill to have in his collection. The first one's called by the Wonder Band. It's called Stairway to Love. And according to Discogs, it is a 1979 disco album. And then there's self-titled 01, the 01 album, which is a 1980s pop album. And then along came Poco. It's not a gatefold. I thought it was a gatefold. Oh well. The Poco is 1980 country folk. Right. And once again, the shrink got me. I picked up an album called Glass Moon. That's a self-titled album called Glass Moon. It's a 1980s rock album, and it's actually pretty good and totally undamaged. Now this was another one that came from that friend of mine. I put it under comedy. I couldn't think of any other place to put it. It's a Barbie album Dancy size. I'm not sure that one will actually ever see my turntable. Then along came Bob and Doug McKenzie, Good Day You Hosiers. It's a comedy album from 1981. This one actually came with the original inner sleeve with the all the jokes and comedy stuff on it. And I already had this one in my collection, but this sort of upgrades it. And then I remember the Nylons, so they came home with me. Used to be a band I used to listen to. It's called One Size Fits All. It's a 1982 pop album. And again, this was sitting up there in the with the other ones I picked up with Carole King and them. It's Spandau Ballet, Only When You Leave. Again, just pretty well an unused album. Totally clean. I guess some people just don't like all the different kinds of music. And this is again from my friend, the Canadian Forces Tattoo. I do collect the bagpipe music and the military march music, so this is a pretty good addition. It's a 1985 military album. The next two I could not find a date on them. This came more from my friend. This one's Bernie Fields, Etc. Rhymes. It's a harmonica music. That should be interesting. And then the last one I had on this list is called Hot Butter Hot Butter Popcorn. It's a synth pop. It's a reissue album. Now there's a couple more which I should pick up. I didn't want to knock over my table. As I said, I do collect bagpipe and military music, so these are an interesting addition. Unfortunately, Discogs knows nothing about them. They're not in there, so they have to join my big basket of music that doesn't exist. It's a Highland Pageantry from the Black Watch Royal Highland Regiment. And the Highland Bagpipes by Seamus McNeill. And finally, World Champion Bagpipe, Belfast, 1956. Now, unfortunately, the bagpipe albums look like they've been seen a lot of time on parade grounds since he was in the military, and they look like they've been used for practice marching, very heavily scratched up. And the Beatles albums themselves, they look like they're in okay condition, but they've been heavily loved. So hopefully with a bit of cleaning they'll play through cleanly. Quite happy to have a Beatles collection grow like that. Well, that's about it for the end of August. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and see you around on that tube thing. Bye-bye.